Hello, welcome to the Film Vomit Podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcasts. As always, I'm here with Mac Taylor, and with me today is...
It's Cole Selby today.
We are continuing down the road of Gingerdead Man vs. the Evil Bong as we make our stop in the Gingerdead Man 2, Bakery of Blood, otherwise known as Passion of the Crust.
Yes, I was preparing myself mentally yesterday, technically, but until stuff happened, we had to show up today. So I've had a lot of time to prepare for it. So I'm like, yeah, I think I'm ready for this, and I don't think I was ready for it.
Well, you know, the first movie was so bad that the bar is low enough for the other two movies to have cleared.
Yeah. Something I had in my mind, this basis of the whole movie. It looks decent. It looks good. It looks like it's a very good quality.
This had a budget.
Camera work. Yeah. It had direction, and I thought it shot well. I mean, there's a couple things. There's some things here and there that kill it for me. I will get to them, but overall, it was definitely a very, very high improvement.
Yeah.
In the first one, and I'm really happy for that. It made it a lot easier to watch.
Yeah, because we started out with this fairy tale recap. I think the guy who played Sir Ian McCavanagh is doing the narration for this. I'm not entirely sure on that though.
Sounds similar.
So we get this recap of the first movie for in case you missed it. Which if you're gonna watch the first movie, do this. Just watch the beginning of Gingerdead Man 2. You get the gist.
Yeah, it saves you a lot of time.
And we get this opening with an actual song and credits. So some work was put into this.
I'll say everything from the recap was dubbed over. Everything.
Yeah.
And they gave a weird made Gary Busey say yes really weird, and that made me a little uncomfortable. And I don't know why they couldn't have just used the sound clips from the...
Maybe the audio quality wasn't that... Because, again, I think around that time they were shooting, lower quality footage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seemed like they needed an upgrade in their equipment, which they got around the time of the Evil Bong.
Yeah.
So then we start with footage from Tiny Terrors 9, Purgatory of the Petite, where we get this bad acting, bad effects, when the chick gets her heart cut out, she's like, ouch. Yeah. And he's like, shower with gold. Yes, more gold.
It pleasures me. It was even more gold.
It was very strange.
It was ouch, my heart.
And we meet the Tiny Terrors, which also, I would watch this movie as bad as it is. And there are Treasure Chest, Hemorrhoid, Knob Goblin, Percolator, Shit for Brains, and the Haunted Dildo.
The Haunted Dildo.
So, Cole, what did you think of the Tiny Terrors?
Definitely a cast of characters.
Yep.
I loved the emphasis given on the Haunted Dildo. Save the best for last.
And of course, Haunted Dildo.
It was pretty great. It's pretty funny.
Of course, being a spoof of Puppet Master, which is a franchise that we have not covered yet on the podcast, but one day it's a little bit better franchise to sit through than some of these other ones.
Yeah.
So the animatronics kind of go haywire, and then we pull back and see the movie set.
Yeah. Yeah.
For this Cheatham Productions, as because you cheat them out of their money with these shitty productions.
Oh, the wordplay.
And we meet one of the directors, played by the late John Carl Buechler, guy who is known for his special effects makeup and did direct Friday the 13th Part 7. So, this guy had a historic career, so it's nice to see him just show up in this random shitty movie.
Yeah.
And we meet Calvin Cheatham, who his father started this B-movie empire, and he's taking it over and kind of running it into the ground.
Yeah.
Because cheap production equals a bad movie and unhappy critics.
Yeah.
And then we also meet Polly, who is this former B movie actress who now is in charge of food,
I guess.
And so she flirts with this technician over sweets, really emphasizing sexuality with it.
She's very uncomfortable.
And then the guy's which the Gingerdead Man is in with these somehow.
Yeah, he just arrives in this pastry box and fine.
And he's like, it's stale, and he bangs the Gingerdead man off of the thing. But again, this is a gigantic gingerbread cookie. Like you would point this out, like if you saw that. Like, why is there such a large gingerbread cookie just like on top of all these donuts?
And how does nobody questions it? Even her, Polly, when she's the one who brought it in, saying it got delivered in from her sister in Texas, and she's just not gonna ask about that.
Yep. And so the guy's like, yeah, the cookies are stale. And so, like, he kills there was kind of sexual tension here, and then just, like, boom, done. Like, the stale gingerbread man.
She provides sexual tension
everywhere she goes.
She's in, dude. It's horrible.
And then both of the actors that were throwing the gold talk about how they wanted to be stars, and they both blew the director. Because she's like, I gave you a blowjob. And he's like, you too? So, and then there's a large fight that breaks out because, like, the stagehand got hit in the face, and so then there's just an all-on brawl.
Yeah, they found out the director was actually getting paid. Yeah. Everyone's all pissed off because they're not getting paid. Which is really shitty, by the way.
Yeah, because Calvin's a good schmoozer. That's the whole thing about this movie that really sees his character. He's good at talking his way out of things. That's the whole purpose of his character, really. Because we also meet Tommy and Heather. Tommy's like a Make-A-Wish kid, but they call it End of the Rainbow.
Yes.
And he's like, if this is about the Tiny Terrors action figure line, we burned all of the tainted product, and that kid's gonna grow most of his body hair back.
Like, I want to know.
I want deets. I want deets. But instead, he finds out this kid's like a Make-A-Wish kid, so he's like, oh, okay. And then the guy handles the finances, comes up to him, and he's like, listen, this Demon Warrior 13 guy trash talked our script online. Everyone's pulling out. We're hemorrhaging money. Instead of doing like 7 movies, we need to just pull the plug on most of them, put all the money we have left into one good movie, and we can maybe get out of this thing alive.
Which is what studios should probably do.
Like, this is Full Moon kind of having meta commentary about themselves. And we'll talk about it more later with some other stuff that comes up, but they're a little too on the nose with the meta commentary. It should have been a little more subtle.
Yeah, and with this scene, like, this is when I started getting a bit more pulled out of the movie, because, like, up to this point, it's been shot pretty well for me, mostly. It looks fine. It's like a decent movie. And then this is like the conversation he has with that guy.
Yep.
Like, I just noticed very obvious voiceover work. Like, and like the mouths don't match up, and it pulls me out immediately because it's like their conversation's like the main thing I'm looking at, and I just immediately get pulled out, and it just sounds weird. It's off, and I just get pulled out of the movie, and then I'm like, oh.
So Paula is like flirting with this young actor who was throwing the gold on. It's hard to really. He doesn't have a character name, so he's just this young actor in what looks like weird trance. I think they pulled him right off the set of Trancers 4 because he looks like one of the Trancers from that movie. So it's like they were like, "Hey, by the way, you can just come here for a day, stay in your makeup, just bring you over to this other set, shoot a couple scenes, and we can get you out of here."
Yeah, I'm almost saying that Polly is way too sexual.
Overly sexual. That's her whole character. And the Gingerdead man just chilling in the box, like not leave. It takes a long time to leave that box. And then they walk past the Hamburger Detective movie where a detective was merged with his lunch.
That was great.
I was like, oh god. Some of the movies I talk about in here, I'm like, I'd probably watch that. The Hamburger Detective.
That's so good. I love that. And then we are shown a little man dressed as an elf, I guess.
Well, before that, they have that conversation about the reviewer.
Oh yeah.
And he says he said Tiny Terrors 9, People 0, which is a reference to what Jaws 3 was supposed to be. When Jaws 3 was in production, National Lampoon was supposed to make Jaws 3. It was supposed to be called Jaws 3, People 0. So it was a very deep cut reference, but it's a reference nevertheless. And one I enjoyed.
Yeah.
One of the very few references in this movie where I'm like, okay, I'm down with that. So Gingerdead Man is almost taken a bite out of, and then he finally leaves the scene. Yeah, then we have the little person getting mad because there's no toilet paper.
Yeah, and it's like his entire thing is dubbed over.
Yep, and he's just, because like they give him like a little person voice.
Yeah, which is pretty like derogatory.
Yeah.
And it's really, and it's kind of, well, what's the word I'm thinking of? prejudice or something.
Well, it's
Or
very exploitive.
It was a little tasteless to me.
But again, with this movie, I don't expect tasteful jokes.
You have to
The
come
whole
in like
the whole
that.
shtick with this guy is that he curses and says shit a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, clearly that was the whole joke. He's like, he's small and he's cursing, and it's like, okay.
It's just like old, like older humor. I
Yeah.
guess.
And then we meet Sir Evan Kavanaugh, played by the same guy who played Larnell's grandfather in the first one. And he has literally the same role as far as, like, our main character is trying to do this thing, and he's just going to shit all over them every chance he gets.
He does good at it.
Yeah, he does. He's actually one of the better actors in the movies we've watched. Like, he is a good actor. And his stuntman, who is clearly younger, bigger,
Yeah.
and overall not a good match for stunt scenes.
No, not at all.
Because Ian basically was Calvin's father's friend who had done some movies for him and is doing this as a favor, but was told it was like a family drama, and instead he's on Tiny Terrors 9, where he's going to shoot all these puppets with the AR, whatever, AK-47.
Yeah. Fucking.
Meanwhile, the Gingerdead man, literally, it's going full Chucky here, where he wants to body swap. And one of the prop hands just randomly has an actual spell book
Yeah.
in the movie.
Yeah, it's real. It works, and I don't know how they got that, and I don't know, like, how they haven't accidentally done stuff with it yet.
So, but even like shits on Chucky, like reanimated doll. That's a stupid concept.
Wow.
And it's like a little tasteless, a little tacky.
Like it's someone who is like chasing these freaking, like it's coming from like the guy who is the copy, who is the spinoff.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a little tacky in that
Yeah.
way. It's like, oh, killer doll. That's stupid coming from a killer cookie.
Yeah, like it's.
And basically the plot is he has to make a pentagram with the blood of 5 victims and then kill a virgin and get a host.
Yeah, a lot of steps.
Yeah, a lot of steps. A little more complicated than the last movie.
Yeah.
And then we see the set of Space Spanker 2015, where a woman is possessed by a alien,
Yeah.
and the only way to get it out is by ruthless spanking.
Yeah, I just wrote down space spankers with question mark. And
It sounds like a porno.
and I almost thought it was, but it's not.
But it's literally translated as such.
Yeah.
And the director is reading a newspaper,
Yeah.
and he's like, how was I in the scene? And he's like, was it in focus?
Yeah.
I think so. You were brilliant.
Fucking brilliant.
And Tommy comes in and does his thing where he's like, oh, that's the director who does this. He's known for his homosexual undertones. And then like a guy in an angel suit all muscled out comes in. He's like, how's this for the spacewalk scene? And he's like, love it. So, there's a lot of like really like low blow gay jokes in here. But this one was a little more tasteful. I was like, this one's funny. The stuff later with the makeup artist is a little tasteless.
Yeah,
but this one had a little more depth to the humor.
Well, with this one, it wasn't like, it's not making fun of the fact,
No.
it's homosexual. It's just like
an add-in joke.
Yeah. It's like, because
the main joke is that he doesn't want to be here on this set,
Yeah.
and then like that was just a little like extra.
Yeah, it's just like that is I
could deal with that. I could deal with that. But later we get it's a little over the top, a little OTT later. Mm-hmm. Which this whole movie is a little OTT, but that one was just and also like by today's standards, maybe not so great in hindsight.
No.
Let's see here. Oh, and then they rent the financial guy is like, we're renting out your office to their production to try to get through the week. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what are they shooting? And he says, Donkey Punch Office Party. And he's like, they paying cash? Yep. Tell them to have a good shoot. Yep. Which some low budget studios do that. They do rent out to pornos. I wonder if Full Moon has actually done that before.
Well, it's like.
It's easy, like if we're not shooting on this day, go ahead, use it, pay us money to do it, and then we can,
It's just it's making money. Like there's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong with that. Hustle.
They could probably just keep doing that. They have a lot of space.
Yeah, they have a lot of space. They have a lot of odd sets. Hell, Space Spankers is halfway to a porno. You might as well just go the full mile.
Yeah, yeah.
So the Gingerdead man then sets eyes on the makeup artist to murder, and then Tommy has her backstory. She was a scream queen in the 80s, who was known for her exploitive sexual films, where it basically was just her either scantily clad or naked,
Yeah.
running from basic
Like
exploitation.
she was employed for her looks, which is like a lot of those really old
Yep.
movies were all about.
And then they've continued to hire her because she used to be at the studio.
Yeah.
And actually, the actress playing her is an '80s actress who always was in scantily clad exploitation films. So she's actually playing just a different, an exaggerated version of herself.
That's pretty.
That's
neat.
cool.
Pretty
That's
neat.
cool.
I mean, honestly, she was not bad in this movie.
No.
Like she was really good. Like
she did her job.
Yeah, she played her character well. Like I was probably supposed to feel uncomfortable with.
Yeah,
her
exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
So and I felt really uncomfortable.
And she's still, even in Tommy is like posing for the pictures and like squeezing her tits together. She had some massive boobies.
Huge, the size of my head, literally.
So the makeup artist like laments his job and is like cleaning up his water that got knocked over, and the Gingerdead man goes for the curling iron, and then we cut to Heather. We get this weird contrived romance where she's like, "It's so great what you're doing with this movie studio.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I bet your life is so awesome." It's like he clearly is like struggling. You can see the struggle.
Yeah, I wrote down Tommy's handler is hot for Mr. Cheatham.
Yep.
And then Cheatham goes off on a long-winded speech about how much he likes making movies. Gross.
Oh yeah, and like he talks about his love. He's like, I just love making movies.
Yeah.
And again, this is supposed to be like a character based off Charles Band to talk about like, well, I just make what I want to make, and if critics don't like it, they don't have to watch it. Which again,
and like
that's true.
More power to you.
Yeah,
for doing that.
But like to put it so blatantly in a movie of yours is kind of just a little too on the nose with the meta commentary.
Yeah.
Like again, if it was more subtle, it'd be. And again, you could say this. Like again, you make the movies you want to make. That's totally fine. I understand that as an independent filmmaker. That's great. But you don't really need to put it in a movie.
Yeah. Like everyone already knows that you're doing this because you like to. And you
Exactly.
Want to.
You don't
Everyone
need to.
Knows that.
And it's really hammered home in this movie too much.
It's just in today's world you're gonna get criticism from a lot of places.
Right, and it's not a bad thing for people to want more.
Yeah.
Because there are some films that he's made that are very watchable.
Yeah.
And it's like, so when you see some stuff like the first Gingerdead, but this is a much better movie.
Yes.
So we know he can do better.
Yeah.
Evil Bong was a better movie than this movie.
Yeah, Evil Bong was very fun. And like,
So,
that's something I would rewatch.
Right. So, that's what I'm saying. Like, just because we say do better doesn't mean, like, fuck us or fuck you. It's just like, hey, we know you have potential to make a better movie, but because you stretch, like in 2005 as the year he made 10 movies. So clearly, like, not much care was taken with some films, and you can't get mad at people for not enjoying that.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like, because at the end of the day, you're also putting this out for other people's enjoyment.
Exactly.
Too. Like, that's the reason why you put it out.
Yeah.
Like, if you really
you're
just
trying to
wanted
make money.
Like, if you really just wanted to make movies, you'd make movies and watch them at home.
Exactly.
Like
this is a business,
Yeah.
and you're trying to thrive in the business.
As well as, other people's jobs and lives are on the line
People
as
had
well.
to work on that, and it probably wasn't that pleasant.
And you owe them, too. Like, so making a better film helps them, also.
So then they start just making out for no reason. Because again,
Yeah.
this was just the most random. They just met like an hour ago, and they're supposed to be here for this kid, and he's just sitting there reading a Fangoria while they just go at it.
Yeah, well, go out, right? Like, it's just gross. Like, why?
And then we cut to the makeup artist who is fucked to death with a curling iron.
Yeah, Lish is like,
like I said, that was a little bit poor taste.
I didn't like it at all.
I mean, the curling iron death is cool.
Like,
but just the way they did it was a little too much.
Like, it was like
could have been done a little better.
Like, I don't even like talking about it too much. It's just like
it's uncomfortable.
It was very uncomfortable scene. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it at all. Like, they could have done something way more inventive.
And then he gets a knife out of this fake head prop, which is a real knife.
They have a lot of just real
weapons
stuff for props, and it's
but hey, low budget. Sometimes you do have Tom Savini always used to say, like, you want a real knife and a fake thing, or a fake knife and a real what, you know what I mean? Like, It's not too much of a stretch.
Real stuff
it's just
is
like,
easier to get hold
what
of.
were the odds someone just left that laying around in the
Yeah.
hallway? You know what I mean? Like, that would be taken, like, you would handle a real butcher knife on set with more care than that.
Yes.
But, you know, again, people on this set don't care, but, like, still, like, it's safety. Again, not much of a stretch, but just something I was like, well, you know, what are the odds?
Yeah.
So the actor takes a shit, like the young actor from before,
Yeah.
and like she's just waiting for him there, like she's just powering through the smell of the shit
Yeah.
to stay horny. So, you know, again, she's dedicated.
Yeah. Polly's an odd one.
And she
Polly's
comes
an odd
on to
one.
him and basically blackmails him with introducing him to casting directors if he fucks her.
Which, I mean, go him. He sucked dick for this.
Exactly.
So-
He's working. He's grinding.
Yeah. And this is what I wrote down. Too much banging. Too much banging.
There's a lot of boning in
Oh,
it.
too much in this movie.
So they start boning.
And,
And the Gingerdead Man jerks off.
Yes,
So it's the second time in
Yes.
3 movies we've seen the Gingerdead Man jerk off.
yes, and I
Then he smokes a cigarette afterwards.
Yeah, and I didn't want to see the Gingerdead Man jerk off
Again.
a second time.
Well,
That's not something I wanted to see.
Is that going to be a
Again.
recurring theme in these? How many times are we going to see the Gingerdead Man jerk
I
off?
don't want to have to make a note about this again.
So, and then he murders both of them with the knife. It takes him forever to get up the thing. Like,
Yeah.
But there was a lot better puppeteer work done with this movie.
Yes.
Than the first movie. Like a little, there was better. The guy who replaced Gary Busey, not bad.
No, not bad at all. I liked him. I liked his voice.
He's doing
Oh,
fine.
nice. I thought he fit him really well.
Yep. And so Calvin then starts working on Ian to try to get him out of his trailer because like he spent the whole movie in his trailer.
Yeah.
And he's feeding the ego until he inadvertently calls him old, and then
Yeah.
we're back to square one.
Which, how can you be mad about being called old if you
Are old.
Like, sorry, bud, but that's what happens. You get older.
And then the Gingerdead Man finds the hemorrhoid puppet, which a guy is trying to fix.
Yes,
And he flirts with it.
I don't
humps
like
it.
I don't like how he is getting hot for the puppet at all.
Yeah, called
No.
hemorrhoid.
Stop humping the puppet.
And then cuts and chainsaws the guy's hand who is trying to puppeteer the puppet.
And why is there a fully working, functioning,
Chainsaw.
puppet-sized
Chainsaw.
chainsaw? Why does it have to be fully functioning? Why does it have to be?
But like, if you notice in the shot, it's the blades aren't actually like the chain's not going.
I know, but it's like he cuts his hand.
Yeah,
off.
he cuts his hand off.
Why would they have?
But it's like a little goof that you can see the chainsaw's really not working.
I mean, because they don't make those. Because like, why? Like, because this is
Tiny chainsaw.
Because
What would you actually use that for in real life? Like, what would you have the world's tiniest chainsaw for?
a gimmick. I don't know.
A gimmick.
a gimmick, Guinness World Record, smallest chainsaw. Like that's definitely not gonna pop.
And he just
anywhere.
leaves him there to die. He doesn't actually like get the blood or anything. And then
Yeah.
later he even says like, I don't know if that guy died or not. It's like, why didn't you just kill him?
Yeah. Why did that scene have to be in? If that
So then they find him and everybody leaves except for Tommy, who disappears randomly.
Yes. And like at first I was thinking, did he just really drag this boy who has to be in a wheelchair all the way?
Which we'll talk about what happens there.
Yeah, like
But,
that's a lot of weight, dog.
And then like she's like, is that one of your puppets? It's like, our puppets never looked that ridiculous.
Yeah,
Which
and-
again, this was an okay joke as compared to some of the on the nose stuff. But still, it was
But-
like
look at like
most of this movie is just kind of like, okay, like you're doing more
Yeah.
work, but
Like,
not
making-
everything hits. It's like you throw
Yeah.
100 jokes at the wall.
Yeah.
Most are probably not going to hit, but there's a couple.
Yeah,
there's a
and,
couple
like,
in there.
at least they're making fun of themselves.
Yeah, and again, they're having fun.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that.
Mhm.
Then the stuntman comes out. This actually did make me laugh a lot. So his eyes like hanging out, and he's like smacking Calvin. He's like, "You gotta get it together, man!" And he's like shaking him in his eyes,
like,
and
wiggling and shit.
dangling.
Oh god,
That
And
was
he's
great.
He's just freaking out. It's
Yep.
like, oh, don't let your eyeball fuck touch me, dude.
So yeah, that was good stuff. And then the Gingerdead Man shows up in a fully functioning robot and vaporizes
yes.
the stuntman.
How does he take over the robot? How do they?
Yeah, it
get
has
the
like a
robot
little
to do
compartment
things?
for
Yeah,
him.
like and like
That wasn't there previously.
like he had to have done that somehow, or maybe it was for
So
the
like, again, production value went up. We get an actual like Gingerdead Man and a robot.
yeah. How does he get the robot? how does a robot work at like this?
And then Tommy comes in, cuts the robot.
Yeah.
And it turns out Tommy is Demon Warrior 13, the guy that got the movie pulled from stores.
Oh no, it's the guy.
And he was a fan who wanted to make movies with the studio, who turned him down, so instead he tried to sabotage the world. And he's a stereotypical mom's basement reviewer, which is like Charles Band saying like, "Oh, our reviewers are actually just pathetic losers."
Which is
mostly not the truth. And again, a little too much meta commentary.
Yes, there are people like that out there,
yes,
but those people are easy to ignore a little bit, you know. But you only can't ignore them when you sense a little bit of truth in it. Then it gets under your skin, and then that's when you tell them it's like, they don't know. I hate this. They're all horrible.
And again, a little too on the nose because he's trying to blow up the studio because he's mad at the world.
Yeah, it's mad at
a bit much.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
And Calvin does schmooze him, saying like, "Oh, we'll make your movies. You're gonna be a star." And then Heather goes up to hit him, but she had a styrofoam thing, which again, when you picked it up, wouldn't you know it was styrofoam?
Styrofoam is mostly air. It's super light.
It's almost hard to pick up because of the wind resistance from the actual air.
So
we used the styrofoam tombstone in our Halloween special coming later this year.
Yeah.
That shit's pretty hard to just wave around.
It's like.
So she really fucked up there.
She really fucked up.
So then. He ties them up, even though they're not actually tied up.
And here's the thing, right after he does that, he points the gun at him and just starts screaming for an uncomfortably long amount of time, and then it cuts.
About how bad the franchise has become. Which, Puppet Master, which, I think we will do on this channel eventually.
Yeah.
There are way too many movies in that franchise.
Yeah.
But, still, a bit too much on the nose stuff here. Mm-hmm. So he ties them up, tries to do a voodoo spell, but he keeps, skipping over shit.
Yeah.
And when he gets to the part of the virgin sacrifice, Gingerdead Man kills him.
It's like, hey, he's a virgin. Oh,
it's like, I got my virgin.
Yeah, wow.
And then he wants to take over Calvin and kill Heather because he didn't know if that other guy died.
Yeah.
But the virgin blood hits the pentagram on the ground and somehow brings the tiny terrors to life.
Yeah, and
they didn't even finish the spell. He skipped over all the shit.
Yeah, he did a lot of is it do you just need the blood on a pentagram?
On a pentagram?
And it just brings the closest doll to life?
I don't know.
God, the closest 5 dolls within a mile radius.
Yeah,
whenever virgin blood hits the pentagram, then they're gonna come to life and they're gonna cause a bunch of shit.
So that happens, and they literally crucify the Gingerdead Man so they can get across, nail it to him, put a crown of thorns on him. Where that came from, I don't know. Because the cross on the wall was part of the set.
Yeah.
But where was this crown of thorns?
Yeah.
They nail him to him, and the whole time he's like, "Oh no, dear God, no!"
He's like, wow,
my tootsies.
God. Jesus.
And they light him on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time he's like, "Don't look, Heather, don't look." And it's it's not that terrible.
It goes on for a long time.
It's a very long sequence.
Time.
That was my complaint with it. It went on for a little too long.
There's a lot of things in this
They
movie
go on for a little too long. But again, if you cut down all those scenes, this movie's 45 minutes.
Yeah, they needed that time.
They were stretching. And so they crucify him, and Ian comes in with the loaded AK-47 and literally kills all the puppets.
Which he's using an MP40 model of gun, so... And you can... It's not very...
So he blows up Haunted Dildo. All the puppets are destroyed. The dick literally explodes.
And he thinks the whole time that it was his.
Yeah,
that was his part.
We got that right, Calvin. And he does an Alvin and the Chipmunks thing where he goes, Calvin.
Wow.
And then it's stated that this movie won the horror puppet movie of the year, which is not a thing.
Wouldn't it technically be a snuff film since someone actually?
Yeah, a lot of people actually got murdered.
They would be sued for that. Remember Cannibal Holocaust?
He marries Heather, who he just fucking met. This terrible experience.
Very bad stuff. Very bad.
And we get more fairy tale talk.
Yeah.
And then a homeless guy comes and eats part of the burnt Gingerdead Man and is possessed. But that guy, played by director Adam Green of the Hatchet series, one of my favorite franchises of all time.
Nice.
Who actually only did that job because John Carl Buechler, who's in the beginning, worked on the effects for for the movie was like, hey, Adam, just come by for like 20 minutes and we'll shoot this thing. And he's like, fine. Even though he's like, this movie's fucking stupid, but I'll come and do it because of Beekler.
That's great. That's great.
So, yeah. Adam Green, one of my favorite directors of all time, just randomly here.
Well, they at least they got some names.
They got some names. They did. They got Beekler and they got Green. Green didn't want to be there, but he was there because, Beekler's a buddy.
Yeah, he is.
So, yeah, that was Gingerdead Man 2, Passion of the Crust. Cole, final thoughts and review.
I'm not going to rewatch this movie.
Was it better than the Gingerdead Man?
Much better. It's much better.
Was it better than the Evil Bong?
No. Evil Bong is
so
much
this
better.
Is somewhere in the middle ground.
It's the middle ground. It starts out good. It stretches out things a little too long. A lot of times there's jokes that don't hit.
That's the thing with all the movies so far, though. Even Evil Bong had some really stretched out sequences.
Yeah,
they really try to get them to like feature, or at least an hour, and like it clearly we needed to stretch.
I really liked having a lot of location difference.
Well, the movie set was a nice touch.
Yeah,
I liked it because you could move around more freely,
and it worked out a lot. It made things like
ambiance
more fun to watch. It made a lot more things make sense more in its own way. Better movie. I would actually tell someone, say, hey, if you want to watch a decent
don't watch the Gingerdead Man 1.
No.
Just watch the second one because you get the recap of the first one.
Yep,
and you get a decent schlocky. Like if you get drunk with your friends, this is fun.
Yeah, it was like I said, I'm probably not going to rewatch it.
No,
but
it's not a multiple viewing movie.
I'd tell someone to watch it one time as a good little experience, and then
if you like schlocky B movies, you'll enjoy this one.
And there's some actual good acting in it. From some people,
A lot better than the Gingerdead Man.
Yes, a lot better.
But the Evil Bong was a lot more enjoyable to me. A lot more palatable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, better direction in this one too.
Oh well, yeah. I believe this was 2009. This one came out.
Okay.
So a few years removed from Evil Bong, and 4 years removed from Gingerdead Man. So they definitely got back in their flow.
Yeah,
for certain. So yeah, that's it for our coverage of Gingerdead Man 2. Join us next time when we talk about Evil Bong 2, King Bong, on our road to the Gingerdead Man versus the Evil Bong.
Yeah.
Until next time, stay safe, and most importantly, stay nerdy.